Okay, hello everybody. This is Joseph P. Farrell, and it's that time for the weekly blog. As you guessed, news and views from the Nefarium for Thursday, October 4th, in the year of the apocalypse 2012. We're fast approaching. I don't know about you, but I was thoroughly underwhelmed by the presidential selection debate, so I just gave it a complete miss. So I'm, I'm not going to comment on it. Other than to say that I've noticed both the dummy crooks and the Republic thugs are claiming that their candidate won. So you listen to the dummy crooks and they say, well, Barmit Obromniak won. And you listen to the Republic thugs and they say Barmit Obromniak won. So, okay, let me get to some announcements, and or rather one announcement, and then I want to get right into today's high-octane speculation. Okay, first announcement is right here. The Transhumanism book is out. Um, I just received my complimentary copies yesterday in the mail. It looks pretty good. It's going to be a book, I think. Dr. DeHart and I talked on the phone this morning, and we're both agreed that it'll probably upset a lot of people. But it's a controversial book, that's for sure. And we tried to remain as objective as we could, although we tend to be somewhat dubious, let's put it that way, about the whole transhumanist enterprise. Excuse me. Now, as you can tell, I'm suffering a bit of a sinus. I also wanted to thank everybody for sending in some articles, because I'm going to be commenting on one of them in relationship to some other things going on. In other words, I'm connecting dots here and I'm speculating wildly. But I think increasingly in today's world, this is what we have to do. We have to look at news stories not so much as isolated events, but we have to understand the thinking process behind them. This little article was sent to me by a friend of mine. It's called The Race to Bring Quantum Teleportation to Your World. All right. There's two paragraphs in this that I want to read to you, and then I want to begin my speculation and dot connecting. Quantum teleportation, just to give you a heads up, it's something I've blogged about on the website several times. It's a subject that intrigues me because what it does is it uses the phenomenon of photon entanglement, particle entanglement, to transmit information almost as quick as you can bat an eye from one point to another. Now, they've increased over the past few years, particularly the Chinese, their ability to do this at distance. They're now doing it in distances of around 80 miles, but eventually they hope to be able to do this over hundreds, if not thousands of miles, or perhaps even millions of miles, using satellites and laser beams. This would allow a great deal of information, since it's reliant upon the phenomenon of quantum entanglement. It would allow people to transmit a great amount of information almost instantaneously over great distances, and here's the key, without a large danger of interception or decryption. In other words, it's really a step for secure transmissions, but I think there's something else, and I want you to listen to this article very, very carefully, the two paragraphs I'm going to read now. Quote, if developed, quantum teleportation satellites could allow spies to pass large amounts of information back and forth or create unhackable codes. Should we ever build quantum computers, which would be smaller and exponentially more powerful than modern computers, able to model complex phenomena, rapidly crunch numbers, and render modern encryption keys useless, they would need quantum teleporters in order to be networked together in a quantum version of the Internet. China plans to launch a satellite with a quantum teleportation experiment in 2016, and the European, Japanese, and Canadian space agencies are hoping to fund their own quantum teleportation satellite projects in the coming years. Conspicuously, the U.S. is far behind the pack because of a bureaucratic reshuffling that left quantum communication research experiments without government support in 2008. Whoever loses this new competition could fail to capitalize, keyword, on the promise of quantum communication altogether, unquote. Now, I want to connect this dot to something else that's been going on, and these are the cyber attacks that have been occurring on major Western and particularly American banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, and so on. Because this, in turn, I think is related to a third dot that we have to connect to this story, and that is the dot of what I've been calling in my articles on the website on the bearer bond scandals, a hidden system of finance, a virtually unknown system of finance based upon deliberately, fraudulently issued securities by the major organs and banking houses connected to the American government. Now, briefly put, I'm not going to go into all of these details because I'm covering these details in the book I'm writing now called Covert Wars and Breakaway Civilizations. But very briefly, this hidden system of finance was established by American intelligence as a kind of a huge, off-the-books, entirely off-the-books, political slush fund, and it's based upon a huge stockpile of gold, which in my opinion has been rehypothecated over and over and over again to issue ever more and more securities and increase leverage and liquidity in this hidden system of finance. All right? Now, all of this means that it is reliant upon the dollar as a reserve currency. Now, interestingly enough, in my opinion, those people out there that are arguing that these cyber attacks are essentially false flag attacks against the Western financial system, I think they're correct, but I think they're missing the real point here. I think the real point of these attacks may be, in fact, to cover up the tracks left by this hidden system of finance. After all, much of our money supply in the world today is virtual money. It's electronic transfer. Much of our trading in commodities and stocks is now being executed by computer algorithms. All right? So I think this is an effort to cover up the tracks of this hidden system of finance. Now, let's go back to quantum teleportation and what this spells for this system. If this system, if quantum teleportation could be made to work, number one, whoever gets there first is going to have a powerful new tool to move currency, to move money electronically, much faster and with much more security than the current systems of interbank financial transfer like CHIPS in this country or like SWIFT in Europe. SWIFT, incidentally, is based in Brussels. It's a huge computer center. It's the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Transfer. All right. All of these systems are basically in the monopoly control, so to speak, of the Western financial cartels. Quantum teleportation would, number one, prohibit this system, this Western financial monopoly cartel, to use their power to make these transfers unless they get there first. All right. Now, this is, I think, the real reason that China, Europe, and Japan are so assiduously studying the phenomenon and trying to make it work and be a practical tool on the commercial scale, because this would enable them to set up an entirely independent system apart from the dollar, one that is more or less secure and one that they could manage to their own benefit apart from the Western financial oligarchy. So I think this effort is really, along with these cyber warfare attacks, is something that we have to watch very, very carefully. This is going to expand, not decrease. And I think that you're going to see the United States particularly wake up real fast and try and catch back up with these other nations, particularly China, which has done a lot of experiments that have proven to be very, very crucial in the development of quantum teleportation. It's interesting that China has been doing this as this financial situation in the world has been developing in the past few years. So I think all of these things are connected, my friends. This hidden system of finance, the amount of money and currency, commodities, and securities trading that is done electronically now, and the fact that you're also looking at competition from other nations that are basically, in the final analysis, fed up with the Anglo-American financial oligarchy. This is a huge story. It's a quiet one. But once people wake up to what's going on with this phenomenon and tie it to the geopolitics and financial politics going on right now, I think you'll see how crucially significant it is. Anyway, that's my news and views for the day. I admit that this is high-octane speculation, but I think we're going to see more and more stories coming out that are going to start coupling these types of developments in the scientific and technological world with what's going on and has been going on in the financial world. I want to thank everybody, by the way, that's been sending me articles like this. With the website now getting almost double the hits it was getting per day just a few months ago, it's been very, very difficult for me to keep up, and thank everybody for sending me these things. But I do appreciate it, everybody. It's wonderful seeing how you're connecting dots by what you're sending me. So my thanks again to my friend that sent me this article. I want to thank everybody for your prayers, your donations, your support. I hope you'll enjoy the transhumanism book. Don't be shocked, because there's a lot of shocking things in it, and there's no other way to deal with alchemy sometimes other than to deal with shocking things. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. God bless, and I'll see you on the flip side.